Karna ma'am, shall we start, ma'am? Fine.
Yes, Rahul. Yes, please. Ma'am, Dr. Meena?
Yes. Yeah, I'm there.
Yes, okay, ma'am. I'll just give a formal introduction and then we'll start, ma'am. Good evening, participants, and good evening, Dr. Meena. It's really so nice of you to have accepted our invitation to go on with this 1 hour of FDP program on research methods on language, literature, and linguistics. And we're so proud to have you here. So before I give the stage to you, I would like to just let the participants know that we really have a very good resource person today here. She is an assistant professor at DIET Gumanhara, SCERT Delhi, and she has a work experience of 22 years of experience in the field of teacher education. And some of her achievements are like she has published around 45 books, with 7 books with the NCERT, 2 books with Rajasthan State Textbook Board, 3 books with SCERT Partner, 3 books with NIOS, 28 books with DIET and SCERT Delhi. She has further developed many training modules also for the TGT English, PGT English, and the primary teachers at SCERT Delhi. And she has conducted a lot of research work, and she has also been into various researches in the field of school education and teacher education, both at the district and the state level. She has also published a variety of papers in national and international journals. And coming to her as an academic coordinator, she has conducted over more than 40 programs, and she has also worked as more nodal officers at various places. So with no further time taken, so I would like to give the stage to Dr. Meena for her session today on teaching pedagogy. Thank you, ma'am, for accepting our invite. Stage is yours, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind words and the introduction. So, hello, participants. How are you? I hope you all are well. And you all are writing a lot of good evening. So, good evening to all of you. And nice to see you, all of you here. And I feel that you are all are the eager learners. That's why you are there with us in today's session. Great. So, now moving forward. I just want to ask a question, and that response I want you to write in the chat box. If you agree with this statement, you are going to write yes. And if you don't agree with your statement, you are going to write no. Because now we are in the online mode, you cannot turn and talk to your participant. So you need to write your answers in the chat box. And the statement is, all teachers are teachers of language. If you agree with it, you need to write that in the chat box, yes. And if you disagree, write no. Ma'am, if you can help me, because when I'm sharing the screen, I'll not be able to see their response.
Sure, ma'am. I think many of them have said yes. Aparna has said yes. Mridul Singh Mrinal has said yes. Shivaranjani has said yes. Elila Rasin, yes. Shalini Sundar, yes. Uma, yes. Dr. Vijayalakshmi, yes. Kavita Suresh, yes.
Great, great. So all my dear friends are agreeing that all teachers are teachers of language. Now you can see that this is the bang-on statement that I'm giving, and my talk will be around this statement. So my dear friends, we all know that the language teacher is also a subject teacher, or I can say that the subject teacher is also able to exploit every opportunities for developing language skills. It means it's not the sole responsibility of a language teacher to develop language. It's the responsibility of every teacher teaching any subject to develop language. Because without language, they'll not be able to deliver their own subject, whatever be the subject is. And this is the essence of CLIL. Now the question is, what does the acronym CLIL stands for? I want my participants to write do they understand, or what does CLIL stands for? Again, looking forward to you, ma'am, to
yes, ma'am. Yes,
read
ma'am.
the responses. Yeah.
Ma'am, you could just repeat what is the word, maybe.
CLIL, C-L-I-L. Are you not able to see that on the screen?
No, ma'am, it's still on the first slide.
Oh my
Language
goodness,
pedagogy.
I have turned it to the second slide.
Ma'am, can you just click on slideshow?
Okay.
If you click on slideshow, on
Yeah,
top.
I had already clicked on the slide share.
And
I'll do that again. Now
yes,
is it visible?
it's visible on the, yes, ma'am. Are you on the third slide now?
Yeah, it's what does the acronym CLIL stands for is the last sentence.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Now I can see.
Great.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. So now I want my participants to write what does the acronym CLIL, C-L-I-L, CLIL stands for. Any idea?
Yes, participants, you can.
I want the participant, and it's only a guess. Don't bother, we are right or wrong. What is more important is the participation. So I want my participants to use their chat box and be there with me.
Can I say, ma'am?
Yes.
Is it content and language integrated learning, ma'am?
Yeah. Any other guesses? Because it's not necessary to hit the correct way. You all are welcome to even guess and share whatever comes to your mind. Great. Thank you, ma'am, for giving the acronym. Now the thing is,
ma'am, Ellie Larison has given content and language integrated learning.
Great. Thanks for the response. Now the next thing is, which sentence best defines CLIL? There are 3 sentences. I hope you're able to see that.
Ma'am, can you move on to the next slide, ma'am? We are not able to see the slide.
So I need to again bring that.
Yes, ma'am. Which sentence best defines CLIL?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So now there are 3 sentences. You can write 1, 2, or 3 in the chat box, because I want all of you to be with me when we are running the session. So I'm not going to leave you that you are going to be the passive listeners. I want everyone to be actively involved in the session. So according to you, and again, I'm telling you, don't bother about right or wrong. What is more important is your active participation. So what, as per your understanding, which sentence best defines CLIL? Is that 1, is that 2, or is that the third sentence? So you may write 1, 2, or 3, whichever you find is most suitable. Ma'am, if you can again help me to read the chat box.
Yes, ma'am. I've still not received any response.
Please you can guess, and you can go for trial and error also. Later on, you'll be able to understand what is the yeah.
Meena ma'am, I think many of them are not able to read the sentence. If possible, can you just click on slideshow so that it comes as a slide, ma'am?
Okay.
And I have 2 responses from Riaz Ahmed and Ridul as the third option. Ellie Larison has also given it as the third sentence.
Is this now on a slideshow?
Not yet, ma'am.
I have done. I think that's the network problem.
Ma'am, I think you can stop sharing once and then share it as a full screen. Maybe that is the reason. Yeah, you can do it once again, ma'am.
Right. I'll do that.
Yes.
So now you're not able to see my screen, right?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
So share your entire screen. Present. When you click on present, you click on share your entire screen, ma'am.
Is it visible now?
Yes, but it's still in the slide, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, let me do that again. So you want me to do the sharing of entire screen, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
If you want, you can mail the PPT to me. I can share it. Maybe my colleague Rahul will help you with the answers which comes on the.
But when I'm sharing the whole screen,
yes,
this is visible. Are you able to see that?
Yes, ma'am. Now it's perfect.
Okay, great. So which sentence best defines? So majority of you have said 3.
Yes.
So let's see. Is it 3 or something else? We can come back to this. I'm not going to tell you right now. So you are right that CLIL stands for Content and Language Integrated Learning. Content is related to the subject which we generally teach, and language, which I am talking about, which we all are there to understand and go with that. And it's the integration of both. It means that language is used to learn as well as communicate. These are the principles of CLIL. The subject determines the language inputs, and the focus is not only on language, not only on content, each is interlinked. So it's the integration of the language as well as the content. Even the language across curriculum, you would have heard that, is again focusing on these principles also, because in our schools we all say that language education is not confined to the language classroom. Even a science, social science, maths, all the teachers are the teachers of language, because without language you cannot acquire any content, any subject. So both content and language are interrelated. Now, there are 4 C's which underpin CLIL. And I have given you the clue, and the clue is the pictures. Now you need to guess, and every picture is related with some C. So you need to write in the chat box what could be the 4 C's which underpin CLIL. And I have given you few guesses, and it means every picture starts with C, and you have a lot of cues and prompts in the form of pictures. So I wish that you should again write in the chat box what are the 4 C's. So you can see that this is not a one-way session. It's going to be the 2-way sessions. Though we are very apart, I am in Delhi and you are in the southern part of the country, but still we can interact and the class can be made interactive. So again, looking forward to you, ma'am, that
Yes,
they'll be writing their responses. And again, don't bother, is it right or wrong? What is more important is participation. So I look forward for your responses.
Yes, participants, if you know, maybe you can unmute and give the answer or type out the answer in the chat box.
Yes, whatever is convenient to you. You're free to use any mode.
Maybe I can try with one, ma'am.
Yeah, please, please.
Communication.
Okay. Good. Any other guesses? Keep guessing.
Okay, for each picture, it has a word which starts with C. Is that right?
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Still looking forward for the responses. Either use the
okay.
box.
Miss Nagalakshmi has given us chat.
Creativity, ma'am.
Okay.
Copy. One option is copy.
Copy is one. Creativity is one. Communication is one. Keep
Last
giving.
one is culture.
Last one is culture. Okay.
Crowd.
Okay.
Community.
Good guessing. Community.
Colorful.
Colorful. Oh, great. Very new insight. Good. Keep going. Keep going.
Creativity. Yes.
Creativity. Okay.
Carnival for the 4th.
Oh, carnival for the 4th. Okay. Okay.
Nature, I think.
It should start with C.
C.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyone
So
else? Yes.
Yeah, thanks for the responses. And now let's see what are these 4 C's for. So, ma'am, you were right. It's communication. And again, one of our participants was right. It's culture. But the first one is related with the content, and the second one was related with cognition. So the 4 C's which underpin CLIL are content, cognition, communication, and culture. So these are the 4 C's on which the CLIL is based. Now, how content? Because content here means the subject matter. Cognition here means learning and thinking processes. And when we talk about communication, it means language learning and again processing the language. Culture, because it's developing intercultural understanding and global citizenship. So it's culture. So the 4 C's are content, cognition, communication, and culture. I hope you are able to see the slides now. Ma'am, are you able to see
Yes,
this?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Now my other question is, what language is needed? What type of questions do we ask? What kind of answers do we expect? And how long do we give students before expecting an answer? And the last question is very important, and that really need to be taken care of. That is, when you are asking a question, suppose even I am asking a question, how long time, what time? I just want you to use the chat box again. How much time do you give to your students when you are asking a question? How much time is expected from them to answer a question? Answer a question. Yeah. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is, whatever comes to your mind, whatever generally you used to give. How long do we give students? How long time do we give students before expecting an answer? Any guesses? Because we all are generally teachers.
Ellie Larison has given 2 minutes.
Okay. It's
Maybe 5 minutes by Navina. Uma has given 5 minutes. Aruna has given 4 minutes. Raja Vignesh 2 minutes. Riyaz Ahmed 1 minute. Malati 3. Vanilla 4 minutes.
Okay. Great.
Shivaranjani 1 minute.
Great. Now I would like to request you one thing also. You all have given the timings, and now whenever you are teaching again in your classrooms, I want you to really monitor this. And how we are going to do this is, you may ask any of your student or any other teacher, your fellow teacher, to just sit in your class. But students are the best way, because when someone else from outside is sitting, you become conscious and you may really be looking at your watch that how much time you are giving. But what researchers says is it is less than a minute. It is less than a minute. So, but we need to check, do we really give 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, or 5 minutes, or more or less? We really need to check that. Now, the thing is, this is the revised taxonomy, and why I have shown you this, it is because whenever we are asking the lower order thinking skills, that is the remembering or the understanding or the applying or application, then we are giving less time, because less time is required when you are asking such questions. So the expected time is less here. But if we are asking the higher order thinking skill questions, then we need to take more time. So suppose you are asking the remembering questions, understanding question, applying question, then the time required, and this time is known as waits time, the time required is less. But the hot questions, hot means higher order thinking skill questions, they really need you to explore, they need some space for deeper thinking. So we need to give our learners more time when we are focusing on the higher order thinking skill, that is analyzing, evaluating, and creating. Yes. Are you able to see some of the questions on the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. So there are about 6 questions on your screen. Now I just want you to put them in the sequence from the minimum time to maximum time. which question number is going to take the minimum time, and they all are the jumbled ones. So don't go by 1, 2, 3, 4. I have jumbled the numbers. So I just want to because I have just shared with you that the questions based on remembering, understanding, and analyzing are going to take less time, and the analyzing, evaluating, and creating, that is the HOTS questions, require more time. Now you need to read the questions and let us find out which question is going to take the minimum time that we are going to place at the first part, and the question that is going to take the maximum time will be placed at the end. Now I want you to write the 6 numbers in the chat box as per your priority. So you read the questions, try to understand which of the question is based on remembering, which of the question is based on understanding, applying, or you can generally think. These are the questions that you need to think and answer, you need to explore. That is going to take much time. So you can have guesses. Let's have a look. Just read the sentences, think which which question requires more wait time. And when you are writing in the chat box, the first number that you will be writing will be the number which takes minimum time, and the last number which you will be writing will be the question number which takes maximum time.
Monica Levin has given the 6th question will be the question with the minimal time, I guess, because she has given only the one number 6.
I really look forward to give write all the 6 numbers when you are writing. It could be guesses. So don't bother that any question is right or wrong. It could be guesses. It could be as per my...
Yes, Ahmed, 2 and 6. Participants, we want the entire list. So maybe it could be 4, 6, 1, 5, 3, 2.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
like that. So whichever question requires the least time, write that number, comma the next number.
Absolutely right.
So almost many of them, Monica, Malati, Aruna, all of them say the second question is the minimum. Okay, Raja Vignesh has given 253. I think it's supposed to be 416 because he's again given 216. He's given 253, 216.
Oh, great. But I'm happy he's written all the 6 question
Yes.
numbers. So I really look forward for every participant to write all the 6 numbers when they are writing. Thank you, Vignesh.
Raja Vignesh.
Yeah.
Okay, Ria, Navina, 256,413. Riaz Ahmed, 235,416.
Thank
Mridul,
you.
254,316.
And I'm hearing the names again and again. I really look
D.
forward
Selva,
others also to participate and write.
D. Selva Savior, 256,413.
Okay.
Laura, 235,614.
Great.
Okay.
Okay. Now let's move forward. So now you can see those who have written 2 as a minimum time are absolutely fine, because that question pertains to remembering. And then what do we use it for as an understanding question? So it will take more time than the question number 2. How do you use it is applying that. So it's going to take little bit more time than the understanding. What is the function of each part of a tree is based on analyzing. So it's going to take more time than the remaining 3 questions. And is a tree the best thing to use for what we use it for? That means more deeper thinking. How we are using it and the way we are using, is that the best way? Needs more deeper thinking. That's why it's going to take more time. So it's evaluating and creating. That's the utmost is what other things could you use a tree for? Because when you have asked how do you use it, majority of the things which are there in their mind, they have written there in question number 4. Now they need to think what other things could they use a tree for, because what do we use it for? They have already written in question number 5 and somehow in 4 also. How do we use? But now when they are asked, when you are asking them how it can be used in some other way, what other things they can do with that, they really need to think of creating something new. What other things can be created out of that, made out of that? So that is taking the utmost time. So my dear friends, what I mean to say is, when we are saying that I as a teacher is giving 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute or 4 minute, there I need to think it could be less than a minute, it could be a fraction of seconds, because it depends upon the question. If it is remembering, it is definitely, if I'm showing you my cell phone or a pen, so you don't need to think at all. As soon as I'll ask what is this, as soon as you're going to give me the answer. So there we need the minimal time to answer that question. So it depends upon the question, what sort of our question is, and as per our question, we need to give them the wait time. So I hope you all have understood what do we mean by wait time. It's the time we take before we expect a response from our learners. That is wait time, and it varies as per the questions. The same time cannot be given to all the questions. It varies from question to question. So, but as a teacher or as a learner, we need to even think. Learners give longer answer if you give a wait time more. More learners become involved if you will wait for some more time. Learners improve or add to what others learners say. Suppose when some of you have given your answer, then something else can click in some learner's mind and he may feel like adding some of the thing. Then more alternative explanations are given if you increases the wait time, and less chance of no response, because when you are increasing the wait time, there you have the scope for involving majority of the participants in your class. And this is the time where as a teacher we can help them. And the best thing what I like is to minimize teachers talking time and maximize students talking time. And this is only and only possible when a teacher increases the scope of involving students by increasing the wait time. So you can understand this 2 words, wait times, makes a lot of difference in our learners' life. Now moving forward towards the multilingualism, because why I am relating the wait time with multilingualism is, suppose you are teaching English language, or you are even teaching a subject, and you want them to answer in their second language, could be English, could be anything else. So definitely you are going to get less responses. And if we are really concerned about involving students to hear their voice in the classroom, we need to increase the wait time. Because what multilingualism says, that multilingual students, if they are using multiple languages, many languages, that is really related to their cognitive and scholastic achievement, because there is a positive relationship of bilingualism and multilingualism with cognitive growth and scholastic achievement. So when we know that there is a positive relationship between these things, cognitive growth, educational achievement, so we don't need to focus really on one language. We really look forward to make our students and respect them as a multilingual learners. We being in multilingual country means we are really bound to hear many languages. Even the National Education Policy, NEP 2020, has really acknowledged the benefit of mother tongue based instructions. So this NEP has really focused that we should really go for mother tongue based instruction. Whatever is the mother tongue of the child, we really need to prefer that. And what it says, that by grade 5 and preferably till grade 8 and beyond, the home language, the mother tongue, the local language or the regional language should be the language of instruction. Now the question is why? Because we all know that we are living in a multilingual country. So these linguistic groups are all neatly demarcated. They are not neatly demarcated. Within a classroom, you can find multilingual, multicultural students. So this is the norm of every class in India, whether it is urban, whether it is semi-urban, or it is in rural context. So what we need to focus on is, when it is the norm of our country and every class in the whole country is multilingual and multicultural, we really need to respect that. We really need to use that as a resource. So why even the UNESCO also promotes mother tongue based instructions? Because what it says is, it lays a solid foundation for learning. It improves our access to learning, to education. Moreover, when students use their home language and they are taught in the same language, it is easy for them to grasp the content rather than struggling with the L2 or the instruction language in the school. They are not going to struggle with the language. They can really focus on understanding the concept, the content, rather than struggling to understand what is being said and then trying to understand that concept. So it will be easy for them to just learn the new things. And in this way, it is really going to improve our learning outcomes, and also it will help them to develop interaction between the learners and the teachers. Because sometimes when I feel the teacher may or may not be able to understand my language, I may not be so vocal in the classroom. So if you really want to respect the voice of the students, we need to focus and respecting and promoting their mother tongue in the classroom. Now moving forward, generally you would be surprised to see one thing, that is I+1, because you will be thinking this is not a maths class, and how come such formula appears in a language class? But yes, my dear friends, we do have few formulas in language also, and this is I+1, known as comprehensible input. When I talk about comprehensible input, I here means the current level, the current language level of a student, and +1 is one step above the current level of the student. So what does this mean? This formula has been given by Stephen Krashen, and it's a very famous model, comprehensible input. What does this input say? Generally, what we feel, students will not be able to understand this. This would be difficult for them to understand. But what Stephen Krashen says, we always need to give our students something which is a level above their current level. So what I mean to say here is, we are supposed to give them something which is a level above their level. It means every time you need to increase the difficulty, but not too high. How much difficulty? Only a +1 level. So whenever you are teaching, it could be anything, but we need to give them +1. It means the learner's current level can be enhanced when we take them a step above their level. So here, when we are teaching them the language or teaching them something else with the help of a language, we should always focus on trying to give something which is really above their present level. And there are a lot of classroom teaching learning strategies based on that why they are using this. Because students should be asked to understand the material, not merely to reproduce it. Because Here we need to focus that they should understand something new instead of merely reproducing the sentences or the things that you have already taught them. And students should be asked to guess something, the input based on their prior knowledge. And I thoroughly followed this statement when I asked you to guess, to write whatever comes to your mind without focusing on what's right or wrong. So that comes when you really rely on their previous knowledge, because nothing is wrong. Everyone answers on the basis of their prior knowledge. As a teacher, we need to understand their background, their prior knowledge, why they have given that sort of answer. That is why outrightly saying this is wrong is not the right practice. What we need to do is we need to give them the opportunity, we need to respect their views, their thoughts, and try to understand that if a child is answering in that manner, it means there is some background, some prior knowledge related to that. On the basis of that, he or she is responding in that way. So as a teacher, we need to try to create situations within and outside the classroom that exposes students to sources of comprehensible input. Not only within the classroom, even when you are giving some project work, some assignments outside the classroom, we need to take care of something, giving them I+1. So all these things which I'm sharing with you all are my research based, which we have tried and tested in our classrooms, in our action researches, in our applied researches in our state. Then the next thing we focus when we are focusing on language is focusing on vocabulary. And again, Kachru's study says, and she tested that on one of the things. He tested this thing. So he tested that his students to see which word they knew from their course book. And what he found that most learners knew the words that appeared more than 7 times, but they did not know half of the words that appeared only once or twice. That means this also gives us an insight, and the insight is that if we really want our learners to learn something, to understand something, we want them that word should be repeatedly there in either they should be able to hear that, read that, use that. So if you really want any word to be there in their active vocabulary, we need to bang on that words again and again. So when I say about active, it means vocabulary is also of 2 sorts. One is the passive vocabulary, another one is the active vocabulary. And the main difference between the two is that active vocabulary is the those words which you understand their usage, and you also use them in your productive skills. It means when you are writing, when you are speaking, you often use them. All those words comes to your active vocab. Now, what is the passive vocabulary then? Passive is something which you don't frequently use while speaking and writing, but while reading, when you are listening, you understand the meaning of those words. It means those words are clear to you and you understand their usage, their context when it is used in a specific context, but you yourself is not using them so frequently. And in this way, the word slowly shifts from our passive vocabulary to active vocabulary, because when we start using there may be some words when a few years ago which were there in your passive vocabulary, but now you have started using them, so it has just jumped into your active vocabulary. So every person has many words in active vocabulary, but every person also have some words in their passive vocabulary. So if we really want, whenever you want our learners to learn, or as an individual to learn new words, so what is more important is reading them again and again. The word must appear in front of you many times, either knowingly or unknowingly, then that word get fixed in your mind. And when this person, when found that the word has been repeatedly used, as he is quoted 7 times, and the beauty here is every time, because the same word cannot be used in the same way in the text, so every time its usage will also be changing. Now as a child they can understand that the word also changes its meaning with the context. So that's the contextual understanding. You're learning in context, I can say. So as teacher, we should enable our learners to use the words as many times as possible in the context. We don't want them to cram the words, cram its meaning, or cram the sentences, and by asking them to make sentences on the new words and then cram them. They are definitely not going to retain that for a longer time. But if the same words are used by them many a times, then definitely that is going to retain in their mind, and they will be able to use those words. Now, how we can bring these classroom activities that can help students to use natural and meaningful language with their classmates? Because if we really look forward for our learners to be a good language users, then as a teacher, as a parents, as a participants, we need to give them some natural and meaningful language, ways in which they can use the language. So for that, we need to give them the good opportunities where they can really practice, and that too with their peers. If you do remember, yeah, is there any question?
No, ma'am.
Okay, okay. If you do remember, as Vygotsky says, as per Vygotsky, we learn through social interaction. And when I talk about social interaction, it means in a classroom, you can give them the scope to the students to work with peer, to work in groups, so that they can really interact with each other. And but for that, you need to give them something meaningful, some meaningful activities where they can really converse with each other, where they can practice the vocabulary, the grammatical structures with each other. And that's the beautiful thing, because there you can move in the classroom and you can find them what they are listening to, and then you can listen to their utterances, their talks, and then you can give them the feedback, because that is really going to help them in improving their language skills. So what is more important is engaging learners so that they can exchange their language inputs with each other and can acquire language in the company of their peers, their classmates. So in the classroom, the teaching strategies, as per the researches, I can say, teachers should try to go beyond simple language drills. I really repeat here, generally teachers focuses on the drills, but we need to go beyond the drills and create some opportunities where they can really have meaningful interactions, real language situations, where they can talk with each other, where you can pose some of the real life situations, and you may ask them to do the role plays, or they can write something, or sometimes we can share stories with them and leave the ending, so stories without ending, and ask them to work in the groups to give a creative ending to the story. So in this way, you'll find if you have made the 6 groups, so the story will be ending in 6 different ways. So in this way, they get the good opportunity to talk with each other, to think creatively, to share their views, and then come on one consensus. Because when 6 of them are working, maybe that everyone is having different views, but that also helps you to develop the other skills like cooperation and respecting each other's view and coming to a consensus that yes, though we have got 5 6 endings in a group itself, but we are going to go with anyone and the reasons behind that. So these such groupings also helps you to develop the social skills beyond this improving language. So such works in pairs and small groups at any level. It don't focus that it should be on this in the school level. From school level, from I should say the from pre-primary level to university level, we really learn a lot when we work in groups and pairs. So, but when we are giving them the task, and you all remember, even when you are working or you are studying in university level, you really need to work on a task that is interesting, that motivates you. And the same formula goes with every student from a pre-primary to university level. So as a teacher, we need to think of some of the tasks which really need based, which creates interest, which is motivating, which have some real life experiences. And teachers should always scaffold them, always support them as and when required, and try to give the feedback to the teachers, to the students, or to the group. So what I mean to say here is, what is more important is to respect the child's language, because when in a group some students are talking or discussing, they may not be focusing. Suppose we are focusing on English, so they may not be speaking all the things in English, though our ultimate aim is to enhance their speaking, listening and other skills in English also, but not simultaneously. We need to focus on their ideas and expression. Maybe that the ideas are coming in their mother tongue, then they can really come to the language, the target language. But if they are more expressive at the beginning, then we really need to respect that also. So I think with these we can move forward. So what we need to do here is communication. Communicative language teaching should be focused more in the classroom. And instead of giving mere the drills of grammar and vocabulary, or the memorization is not going to work. If you really want our learners to learn something, we need to train them in different language skills and enabling them to use that even without the help of the teachers. Then you can say that we have really done something good. And students need to learn what language is effective and culturally appropriate in natural discourse. Because when they talk, then they understand what is culturally appropriate. Because suppose we are reading some novels and books, they may be culturally appropriate in the context in which they have been written. But when we are talking about the Indian context, then some of the things really don't resonate with our culture. So here we need to focus on the task and activity, and when they are discussing, they learn about each other's culture, they respect each other's views. So it's really culturally appropriate, and that too in a natural discourse. One important thing which I really need to focus is errors. We should look at the errors as a sign of learning, because in language learning, errors are a natural part of learning. So whenever students make some mistakes or commit some errors, we really need to ignore at that point of view. Instead of then and there correcting it, we need to wait and try to understand, is this sort of error is being made by majority of the students or few of the students. If we find that majority of them are doing same thing, then in a classroom we can really discuss that. And if we find only a student or two are doing that sort of, then we can give them the personal feedbacks. But because errors are a sign of learning, and when we are learning something, errors are very quite obvious. So there we need to focus that there psychologically we need to deal with the students, because some of the students really don't speak when you keep on correcting them at the moment. So we need to understand every child's perspective, and then we need to focus that how we are going to correct the students. And one major thing which we focus is the pronunciation. And generally we think when generally we speak in English, some of us try to be native like speakers, and we have a option in our mind, or we have that view that this is the proper pronunciation. I agree, we have a standard pronunciation, but we are not supposed to be a native like speaker. If I start speaking in Tamil, I may be able to speak Tamil konjam, but I'll not be able to have that accent. So we need to accept that pronunciation must be comprehensible. It means it should be understandable. My message should be conveyed. That is more important. We should not be obsessed with the pronunciation, but yes, if you are learning, then we need to focus on the correct intonation, stress, its rhythm, but we should not be obsessed with that. Pronunciation is must, and I agree with that. And at the initial stage, we do focus on that. But there are some things which comes with us with our L1. Its impact is also there at times. So we need not to be obsessed about that. So pronunciation for a student must be understandable by others. That is more important. Instead of trying to be like a native speaker, that's a wrong notion that we carry. We need to be understandable. We need to follow the intonation, stress, and rhythm of that thing. Hardly matters if the accent of my L1 comes to that. L1 is the first language. I think I should stop here and first take the questions if my participants are having, instead of moving forward. So, ma'am, I'll stop sharing here.
Okay,
and
ma'am.
I would like to listen to the questions. If our participants are having some questions, instead of moving forward and only discussing the things. So I'll not.
Participants, if you have any questions.
If you have any question, please ask.
You can unmute and ask, or if you're feeling comfortable with putting it down in the chat box, or you can raise. Any questions? Ma'am, I think you're on mute, ma'am.
Oh yeah, I was on mute.
Hello,
Yeah.
Aruna. Can I come in, Aruna?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Good
Meena,
evening,
ma'am.
sir. How are you?
Yeah, good, ma'am. Doing good, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Nice, ma'am. It was an excellent presentation, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I take this opportunity to, because CLIL is definitely a niche area and we don't know much about CLIL, because I believe that a lot of active research is not taking place in terms of CLIL, especially in the Indian context. So I would love to hear from you, especially for the researchers. Are there niche areas to do research in CLIL?
Yes, we can go forward for the CLIL. This CLIL is really a good concept, and we can focus that are we really using CLIL in our schools? And if you can have two groups, where in one group you are focusing on the CLIL based principles and learning strategies, and in one group you can focus on generally the way they are teaching. I'll not say it's a traditional, the way it's going on. We can see the difference also. I am not able to read a few of the questions. Ma'am, you should.
Can I read out the question, ma'am?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Rajita, she has
Just
a
a minute.
question.
Yeah, thank you for your response, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am, Rajita has a question. Can you explain about blended teaching?
Yes. When we talk about blended teaching, first of all, we should really not say that the things we have taken in the corona period is really online teaching or blended teaching. I can call this as an emergency teaching, because when we focus, and blended means when you are blending the both face to face and the online teaching also. But their online doesn't mean the online that we have just stepped in due to this corona pandemic. So their online means you need to focus on some videos, some audios, some online material, and where students can, or the participants can read and reflect and do some tasks. So blended is something where you give them scope to read the things. So lots of readings are shared, and in the face-to-face classroom, we then focus more on its application part.
Riaz Ahmed has a question. How to develop grammar in playful method to the secondary students?
Yes, it's really a wonderful question. First thing that we need to focus here is we are not supposed to focus only on the grammatical rules and then lots of drills and practices on that. Now the question is then how we are going to do. So what we are supposed to focus on is grammar in context. So suppose you are teaching a chapter or a lesson, you need to find out which grammatical structure is occurring again and again in that chapter. Then you need to explain with those examples, you will come to the grammatical rule, and then they will be able to understand its usage plus the rule. Instead of going that way, that generally in traditional mode we need to focus on the grammatical rule, and then we focus on the usages. But here in grammar in context, we are first observing the nature of that sentence, how it's going, how it is used, and then we are coming to that. Yeah.
Okay. Vasavi Shivashakti has a question. Madam, you said about pronunciation. For all of us, first native language comes easily, but to acquire the second language, it is very difficult. Can you let us know how to improve on it?
Yes. Here the question is, first language came naturally because you acquired the first language. And second, we are not acquiring, we are learning the second language. That's the major difference. That's the first thing. Because when we acquire the language, that comes unconsciously. And every L1, every first language is acquired, but still we learn the same language when we step inside the school, because then we focus on reading our first language, writing in our first language, but we acquire that language before stepping in. So if we say, if you are going to get the same environment, how you learned your first language, it's very well spoken around you, then you can acquire that language. But that's not the case. So we need to learn that language. And when we are learning the language, first thing that we need to take care is we need to integrate the skills. And what happens generally, I may take much time. You stop me when you feel the time is over. See? So what we generally do when we step inside our school and when we start learning, we'll start learn from our alphabets. And as a linguist, people say, if I say B, if I say D, if I say E, you are starting to learn a language with a meaningless unit. D in itself has no meaning. E in itself has no meaning. We are starting to learn from a meaningless unit. So there we need to change our approach if we really want to learn that in the true form. Yeah, please.
Okay. I think a research student has a question, ma'am. Lakshmi, yeah. How to increase vocabulary and creative writing as a research student?
Yes. First thing, I'll focus on vocabulary. What you need to do is you need to make a word wall. Word wall means whenever you are teaching or you yourself is learning something, you need to write those words and paste them somewhere. Keep those words for a week or so. And when you're moving around the class or when you're moving around in your room, if you're personally using it, keep referring to them and then trying to use the same word in different context. Then you'll be able to automatically that word will come to your active vocabulary. Instead of just cramming it, you will forget it. Every time you need to have some context when you are learning a new word. In this way, you can learn the gain our vocabulary and enrich our vocabulary. What was her second thing? Vocabulary
and creative writing.
yes, creative writing. The best way to start creative writing, I feel, is start 1 minute writing. Keep a watch and have a stop clock. Write whatever comes to your mind first. First, try to express yourself. Then afterward, try to focus on the coherence and the other parts of the things, and writing its topic sentence and the other things which are related to that. But before that, first start writing just a minute. And similarly, when you want to enhance your speaking skill, go for jam, just a minute. That makes you to really come out of your box, and then you start expressing yourself. Then you can focus on the other elements which are quite important for a writing skill.
Sure, ma'am. I think there's another question. Is flipped learning a good one? Is it to be implemented in our schools and colleges?
I personally really love that. And I've also presented a paper somewhere why I thought of flipping to flipped classrooms. And really, I feel that flipped classroom really going to work a lot. I personally use that in my class, and my students really enjoy that. And that's a good scope of giving maximum things with a limited span to students. So I really feel that we should go for flipped learning. I personally appreciate that.
I think Ms. Shivaranjani had raised her hand. Shivaranjani, are you there in the meet? You had raised your hand?
Yeah.
Oh, I think she has left.
No.
I think that's with the end of the questions, ma'am. That's
why I stopped, because I really want to hear them, and I really want to address the questions if they had in their mind. So instead of moving on and on, I really wish to be there with us, with them.
Sure, ma'am. So Rahul?
Yes, ma'am.
Over to you, Rahul. Yes.
Yes. So good evening, ma'am. Good evening. It was my real pleasure listening to a wonderful speech from you, ma'am. Thanks for that. And before I do the task given for me about thanking ma'am, I would just like to expand. I hope many people must be aware of this, about the institute diet. So it's all about the District Institute for Education and Training. So I'm sure that institute is well known for devising the education policies, the government policies to all the districts, to all the levels of the people. So I'm sure that we had a right person over here who is very appropriate to talk about the pedagogy of learning and bringing up the classroom strategies alive. Because I know from the entire speech, what I could realize is, ma'am, there are few people who preach what they practice and they practice what they preach. And I'm sure, ma'am, you're best fit into it. So thanks for giving a wonderful time for us. And I'm sure on behalf of Aura and on behalf of all the participants, I take profound pleasure in thanking you again and again, ma'am. Thanks for your wonderful.
And my special thanks and gratitude to Vijay Kumar sir for giving me such a wonderful opportunity. And I really love to be here with all the participants. And really, I'm so thankful for him. And he is really a wonderful person. I really admire him for that.
Thank you, ma'am. We do convey it. Thank you. Yes, thank you. So
Yeah,
thank you,
Ravi, just a minute. Thank you very much, ma'am. On a personal note, thank you. So kind of you to say that. And we really look forward to your patronage for our future events as well. It was indeed a pleasure listening to you. It was, as Rahul said, a very insightful presentation where you dissected into the heart of CLIL. As I said, it's really a niche area where the researchers should know to explore. I just found it very fascinating. It was really an intriguing session. As I said, we look forward to your patronage for our future events as well. And thanks a lot for your compliment, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
And also, ma'am, before I end, I would like to give a compliment to you, ma'am. I mean, your smile and your enthusiasm was so contagious, and that could spread among all the participants over here, and that could make our session so lively. I could understand that you must have an exhaustive such day throughout, but in spite of that, you are so energetic and enthusiastic to engage us. So, ma'am, once again, thanks a lot for that, and thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
So
Ma'am,
yeah.
could you
Thank
share
you.
your mail ID, ma'am?
Yeah, I'll share that. I'll share that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. So participants, please do fill the attendance and the feedback form.
Participants, tomorrow there's another session by Dr. Praveen Sam. So please do join us on the same link at 6:30. I'll post the topic and I'll post the details.
Okay, thank you then. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, Mom.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.